starting in January 2026, 62% of new supply will be available for featured applications to claim. And this is a massive differentiator across other networks in the sense that the value and transaction activity and utility growth for the network typically goes to just the infrastructure providers. Within Canton, these rewards are distributed in three parts: the super validators, the validators, and also the applications themselves. And so with this, Joris, I wanted to ask you, how do you think the tokenomics as a tokenization platform provider, and in particular, how it contributes to and shapes your revenue model, is incentivizing your team, your users, and broadly the ecosystem?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. Sorry. So here is what I think about that. I think that when you read the white paper and all the tokenomics that was done, it has been super well sold in a sense that it's one of the biggest project that did a fair launch, right? And fair launch means you don't start with a few players that are holding the bags at start and that have like a huge chunk of coins. That I think is one of the key components of Canton. And two, the way they wanted to incentivize builders to come and build is yesterday we were chatting about that with my team, and during the team meeting my co-founder was like, Canton is a master class in building a network. And I think it's true. Like, everyone that is deciding to work on Canton can get a fair share of value that he can extract from the network in exchange of the work that he does. Whether he's bringing people, whether he's bringing activity, whether he's observing, like pretty much any behavior right now is incentivized. And of course, when you are at the beginning and you have a few players, the incentive is super high. But we are, and that's what I love. Every Wednesday, we are in these meetings that are almost like a community call now. You have 60 people that are here every week, that are listening to each other, that are working together when it's not during the meeting to prepare for the next one, that are sharing also how to build better, how to help support the network, how to not supercharge the network as well, to make sure that scalability is an ongoing process. And honestly, that has to be said, because there is, behind Canton today, there are so many players and so many people that are effectively working. And under the hood, there is also all these end users, the one that are holding asset, the one that are getting reward for participating in the network for their effective action. In my context for Fairmint, it would be shareholders of companies that are using us for their captable solution, and that all things through their portfolio. And what's fantastic is the way today Canton is some sort of replacement of your own token airdrop. You can just leverage Canton without going through your own token. You can just like focus on using the Canton coins as the new asset that anyone that is participating to your app would get access to. And on top of that, we are not yet listed, so it's even better. But what I mean by that is you can, as a founder, as a founding team, as a builder, literally create a whole ecosystem that relies on the Canton coin. That's fascinating, I think. And I think it's pretty unique.
Nice. Awesome. And then, Josh, the tide looks at many token economies. What makes the cantonomics stand out compared to other more infrastructure or investor heavy models that you've seen elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, I think Joris said it much more elegantly than I could. So I think you guys should definitely clip that and reshare that 100 times, because I'm not going to do quite as good of a job as that. But I do think it's the very unique token economic model that exists on the network, right? Which rewards apps. But the other thing is BME, which is Burnham equilibrium, right? And BME is basically this concept that transactions on the network generate a certain amount of rewards. At some point, it will cost the same amount to transact as those rewards are. And until that point, there is an incentive to continue to transact more and more and more. And there's more and more and more development and applications that will come on the network. And BME hasn't been hit yet. And we're already at $1.5 million in daily fees. And what I mean by is unique. What I mean is unique here is we're probably going to get to somewhere around, and I'm just throwing this number out there. It might not be exact, but figure about $3 million in daily fees on Canton before we hit BME or something around that number, which means that the networking is going to be generating, $360 million about $1 billion in annualized fees and burn before we hit BME, which is quite unique. And so, everyone talks about the FDV of Canton, but Canton doesn't really have an FDV because you're naturally going to hit this BME point, which is basically going to completely halt net new issuance on the network. And so I think the cool thing is just the way that the application is and the chain is engineered and it's developed. There's an incentive for people to continue to build new things. And then once that BME is hit, there's an incentive for, applications that really drive real usage, have real use cases to continue to operate and drive activity. So I think it's a very cool model because it's very unique and it's very different than other chains in that, to Joris's point earlier, there's an incentive for development and continued development on the chain. And there's naturally kind of just going to be like $3 million a day or $1 billion a year burned at current price levels.
Right. That's very well said. And then overall, like one of the key ideas behind the Cantonomics is that anyone contributing real activity or assets to the network, whether it's a tokenization platform, a data provider, or a stablecoin issuer, can participate in the rewards, as you guys mentioned. And some people see that as a potentially creating a kind of a flywheel effect, where more builders join because they're directly rewarded for the utility that they bring to the overall network. Cool. And then let's see, following that, in a world where many builders are struggling to monetize usage and capture value for their application, what differences does it make to have that continuous on-chain revenue stream tied to activity? So just question for both of you. So having the revenue stream and activity that you bring, what difference does it make in terms of you thinking about where to build?
I think that's kind of a pretty obvious question there, right? If you're getting paid to build somewhere, there's an incentive to build somewhere. And when that revenue is continued, I think one of the really cool things that it's enabled is, oftentimes people go to chains that give them grants to build on that chain, but that's a one-time thing. And often, the incentive isn't that great to continue